Newark. The cry of a genie amid the lights and thousands of cheering spectators was not just an emotional moment, it was valid proof that a bond between an artist and his fans has transcended the usual boundaries. On a night that shook the walls of the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, history was not only written, but carved in voices and tears. The ARMY is not only present, they are united, they show love. And Jin, BTS's iconic figure, stood transfixed, unable to contain Haru. Why can a man who has been performing on the world stage for more than a decade be so shaken by the cheers of the audience? What makes an idol of Kim Seokjin's class, with untold international experience, suddenly fall silent and cry in front of the public? The answer is one: the ARMY. And that night, in Newark, ARMY broke the boundaries of love that can be shown to one person. From the first seconds the concert started, the atmosphere inside the stadium was different. There was no pause between the first beat and the emotional cries of the audience. Every highlight of the camera highlights faces: young, old, men, women from all backgrounds, all united for one thing: the genie. When the giant screen showed Jin's face, wearing an elegant black jacket and a wide-brimmed hat, tens of thousands of light sticks lit up in unison. But that's not the peak. In the middle of the third song, the stage suddenly goes out, and the main screen shows a montage of dedications from armies around the world. Footage from Seoul, London, Jakarta, to Sao Paulo, all stating the same one sentence: Jin, you are our moonlight. At that moment, the camera panned Jin's face. Her tears fell. He tried to smile, but his smile wavered, his hands shook. The audience's voices grew louder, calling out his name, not as a K-pop star, but as a human being. Is this just an ordinary expression of love? Far from it. This moment reflects the transformation of the relationship between the star and fans. The ARMY are not just spectators, they are protectors, companions, even wound healers for the genie. During his mandatory military service, the ARMY faithfully waited. They're not leaving. And now, when Jin is back on stage, it's not him who welcomes ARMY. It's ARMY who welcomes him with a power that even Jin himself can't control. The voices inside the stadium soared even higher as Jin knelt down, looked at the audience and said, "I don't know what to say. I feel small in front of all of you." It was heartbreaking, and none of the thousands of soldiers present could hide their tears. Even the stage crew seemed speechless, some visibly turning their faces to cover their emotions. The organizers even confirmed that the sound level of ARMY cheers in Newark that night was recorded exceeding the normal limits of the concert at the venue. Not only the volume, but the intensity of the emotions captured from the thousands of faces also put some security crews and medical staff on full alert, not because of the threat, but because of the unexpectedly heightened energy. A form of love that not only sounds, but shakes physically. This is no ordinary concert. Many industry observers say that what happened in Newark will become a new reference in the study of the relationship between fandom and artists. An official from Big Hit Music said, "We didn't expect such an emotional resonance. This is not a concert, it's a celebration of the soul." Jin himself called that night the most honest night of his life. He doesn't sing songs just as a musician, but as a human being who feels unconditionally loved. In the ending song, The Astronaut, Jin asks for the lights to be turned off, leaving only the light from the ARMY bomb. The sea of man-made stars was pulsating, as if alive, and the entire stadium was like being in an emotional space where Jin and his fans sailed together. And as Jin walked to the end of the stage, he bowed deeply for almost a full minute. The camera does not move. The microphone was deliberately left open, playing the sound of bated breath from a man who tried to compose a word, but failed. Only one last sentence came out before he closed the night. "I live because of you." The stadium is broken. No one is sitting. No one is silent. The ARMY's presence in Newark that night was not merely a witness. They are active participants of an emotional outburst that has been suppressed for a long time since Jin served his military service. And when they finally meet again, the love does not explode, but blooms like a flower that no season can stop. The question now is no longer how much influence Jin has on the world, but how much influence the ARMY has on Jin himself. They not only support, but restore. They not only encourage, but save. The night in Newark became concrete proof that love voiced in unison from thousands of throats can penetrate the deepest layers of an artist's soul. For those of you who haven't witnessed this monumental event firsthand, you may never truly understand what the energy was like that night. But one thing is certain. The relationship between BTS's ARMY and Jin has written a new chapter in the history of the world entertainment industry. A chapter that cannot be approached by analysis alone, but must be felt with the heart. Don't miss out on other emotional and historic moments from BTS's Jin and ARMY. The world can change, but this kind of love must still be broadcast. Continue to support Jin's work and dedication to music and the world by subscribing to our official channel. Click the subscribe button right now and be a part of history that continues to live with Jin and ARMY. But now that all the lights have gone out and the noise has subsided, a bigger question arises than just cheers and tears. Were the events in Newark really that authentic? Are Jin's cries and ARMY's hysterical responses pure emotional outbursts? Or is there narrative engineering behind them? Amid the euphoria of concerts and the explosion of virality on social media, the public is often swept away by a wave of emotions that do not necessarily reflect objective reality. Short videos uploaded on TikTok, dramatically cropped clips on Twitter, now X, and compilations of emotional reactions on YouTube have shaped mass perception. But do we ever pause to ask, are what we are witnessing an honest reflection of real events, or are they just pieces of narrative curated to sway opinion? We must admit, fandom forces like ARMY have formed a very unique communication ecosystem where the line between reality and media construction is blurred. When an artist cries on stage, how do we ascertain whether it is purely an emotional cry or part of a professionally prepared concert dramaturgical sequence? Is the camera geared to capture honesty, or to frame a scene that will go viral? Keep in mind, information about Har's moment at the Newark concert comes from short video pieces that spread massively on social media. Not a few also come from fanbase accounts that are aimed at displaying their idols in a positive narrative. A critical question arises, then, are we accepting reality? Or are we being locked up in a reality shaped by social media algorithms? Let's ask further questions. If the incident was purely BTS's Jin's emotional outburst, why has there been no verified official statement from the agency or management regarding the meaning of the cry? Is it possible that it was a spontaneous response from someone who has long held a longing for the stage and fans? Or was it, let's be honest, part of a stage strategy to cement an emotional bond with the ARMY? There is no single answer. And it is precisely for this reason that we must be careful. We live in an era when information circulates so quickly, yet verification often lags behind. Then the question isn't just what happened in Newark, but deeper. Who controls the narrative and why? In the context of the South Korean entertainment industry, emotional narratives are very often used as a tool to build fandom loyalty. Cries, hugs, cheers, even moments of collapse on stage have repeatedly become powerful marketing tools. Not to blame, but it is important for all of us to consider whether the expression we see is a reflection of emotional reality or the result of very neat packaging. Have you ever asked, why is the camera always ready to capture the most emotional moments? Why is the moment so perfect for viral? Don't we need to be wary that what we see may have already been prepared as part of the show? Are we really witnessing reality, or are we watching a narrative that has been produced with great precision? Naturally, This does not mean that the whole event in Newark is a lie. The emotion may be real. ARMY's love was probably sincere. But as consumers of information, we have a moral responsibility not to swallow everything raw. We must learn to weigh, analyze, and analyzed, we also need to reflect. Are we enjoying the show, or are we being manipulated by it? Are we sympathetic because we have been touched, or because we have been shaped by a narrative that continues to be repeated in various digital platforms? One of the viral videos showing Genie sobbing on stage is claimed to be taken from a Newark concert. However, some netizens questioned its authenticity. Is this really the moment? Why is there no official documentation from Big Hit corroborating the narrative? Some analysts even considered that the silence of the mainstream media over the events was questionable. Is this evidence that the concert was too ordinary to be reported, or was it too narrative-driven? We do not declare that what happened is a lie, nor do we claim that it is entirely real. But what we want to emphasize is, truth requires a process. And that process starts with questions, not blind faith. Keep in mind that this article is based on a variety of open sources: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, to fan-based blogs. Some of the information sounds authentic, some is emotional, and most has not been fully verified. Thus, we invite the reader to not only feel, but also think. It not only dissolves in euphoria, but is also able to maintain an intellectual distance. Do you really believe in what you see? Are you able to distinguish what is fact and what is sensation? Criticism is not a form of rejection of our love for the artist. Rather, it is a form of our responsibility as conscious spectators. If we really love Jin, BTS, and ARMY, then we should also dare to ask, who controls the story? Because in the era of fragmented and distorted media, maintaining critical reason is not only a wise action, but absolutely necessary. Is it about music? About love? Or about a huge industry that knows exactly how to make your emotions a commodity? We did not give an answer. We're just asking questions. And perhaps those questions are more important than any of the answers we could write. Do not forget, all the events you read this could be true, it could not be. Filter, analyze, and do not immediately believe. Click the subscribe now button, not only to follow the latest news from BTS's Jin, but also to jointly build a community of smart, reflective, and skeptical readers. Because behind every camera spotlight, there is always a narrative that must be questioned.